So you will obviously focus on the defense when you are on the field and watching film, but what have you seen out of Khalil so far when you've had a chance to watch him this
What I've seen out of Khalil is understanding the offense better. He's reading coverages better. He's maturing. He's always been good about watching film and stuff like that, but he just seems like, from getting older, he just understands the game better.
Is it a good thing for your defense to go up against a guy like that on a regular basis? Do you think
It's great for
prepares them for anything they might see?
Because you're seeing a guy that can run, and you're also seeing a guy that can throw the ball. And so, with that, it helps us as a whole. It helps us up front because we have to keep contain him from running out there. But at the same time, it helps us because, Khalil has a strong arm, and he can get the ball to wherever you need him to get the ball to. So it helps us up front. It helps us up front and it also helps us on the back end.
Marcel, how have you had to alter your scheme at all based on what you did last year, I guess, in terms of what Kevin wants you to do?
It's just a matter of getting our guys in the best position to make plays. And so for me, I don't want to be a guy that's kind of stuck in, okay, here's my system, and I can only run the system. It's about getting what we have on our defense and getting those guys in the best position to make plays.
Coach, as a former safety and a defensive coordinator, what are your thoughts on the new hit rules in the NFL that are going on in the past couple weeks?
I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the game where you don't have as many injuries, as many big shots. I was a physical safety, so I just let that answer for itself. So, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. I'm gonna stay away from that.
So how are you feeling about that front seven now as you 2 weeks away from first game?
We're getting better, and I'm a coach that every day matters, and so I'm not gonna feel good until, the day before the game. And so we will continue to get better. We're getting better. They're working hard. Now we're getting more into like our actual game plan type stuff. So now we're getting into some fun stuff to where now our game plan is kind of, it isn't as big right now, so now we're kind of honing on some stuff we want to do.
When you came in here 2 years ago, you said you wanted to be top 20 in scoring defense, top 20 in turnovers.
Right.
You got to top 25 in turnovers last year. What did you like about the way that transition took place?
Just, having an understanding that what we were strong at, I thought, my first year, like I said, to me, that was year 0. And then having a chance to kind of recruit some guys that kind of fit the system. And then kind of looking at what we had coming back, I felt like from a secondary standpoint, we had some guys that I can put them in some zone and, we had some zone eyes and try to create some turnovers. When you go back and look at the games we won were games we were able to create turnovers. The games we struggled with, games where we didn't create turnovers. So I kind of knew with that, with last year's defense, that's what we needed to do. Hopefully with this defense, we can kind of hold up front a little bit, and with some new guys, who knows?
Do you envision Mikey Irvin being part of the defensive tackle rotation?
Yeah, I hope so. That still remains to be seen, but anytime you recruit guys, you bring them into play. And so he's a guy that we hope that can play for us this year. He does no good standing by us on the sideline. So yeah, we hope with that big of a body that we can get him on the field and he can help us.
Are P and PJ nose tackles or defensive
we kind of play left
tackles,
and right. It's kind of nose tackle. So one plays nose, one plays tackle. Those guys can do them both. So you can be a nose, you can be a 3 technique, you can be a shade, you can be, a 2 eye. So he does them both.
What's the ceiling for Colin and Tony?
What's the ceiling?
Yeah.
I hope there is no ceiling. So for those guys, they had a really good freshman year. They made plays. I think they're having a better understanding of the defense and what we're trying to do just from watching film and going back watching games that they played and seeing all the good things they did, but also seeing the bad things they did. And so having them in a room now, I'm kind of teaching them. I'm trying to teach them what I'm thinking. And so I'm kind of, I'm trying to get them to understand I'm calling this for this reason, I'm calling this for that reason. This is the strength of the defense, this is the weakness. So now they're understanding that a little bit better.
They both seem pretty self-critical.
Yeah, they're very self-critical. And that comes from you know, their parents, their families, and that also comes from me. You know, we're critical in that room, and I always tell them you have to have thick skin if you're going to be a linebacker.
Both Kevin and Noel talked about that they're seeing a lot of looks from your defense. Is that more so to help them, or is that maybe an indication of a diversity that you want to scheme out there this year?
Diversity. You know, I've always showed a whole lot of looks, and it's just a matter of, in this conference, you see so many different offenses that I think you have to be multiple, and you just can't spring it on some guys 1 week before. You know, you have to kind of show them that during spring ball and during fall camp. So I'm a guy that kind of like to show, you know, a whole lot of looks, and we'll kind of decide that week what fits the scheme that we're facing.
In your desire to be better in the run, you mentioned that when we talked to you a few weeks ago, is it still a top 20 mindset there, or do you say, because when you're in the 80s, do we want to go from the 80s, ranked in the 80s, to the 40s, or?
You have to be realistic, and you know, I mean, the margin from, you know, 7 to 10 points is very small. It's a matter of a guy filling his gap and you don't give up a big run, or a guy dropping, you know, an interception. So to me, what we're trying to teach these guys is that you have to be disciplined and you have to do your job. If you have 11 guys doing their job, now you make another team beat you, instead of having 1 or 2 guys not doing their job. And now you're giving them something free. And so as long as we can get guys to understand, you know, that the more disciplined football teams there are the teams that win more games.
One of the things Kevin has said in terms of Scotty Young Jr. is, you know, we don't really know him, but you know him, you coached him. Right. So what do you tell Kevin?
That he's a playmaker. You know, the young man loves football. You know, and he just, him being out there, you can feel his energy, and he just makes plays.
How quickly can he put himself back in that conversation?
Hopefully real quickly. So, yeah, the quicker the better.
How do you go about carving out a role for Anthony Pandy when you have those two kind of established starting linebackers?
To me, when you look at college football and the way it's changed, I mean, you're playing more plays, and so now you're seeing, you know, you're playing 70, 80, 90 snaps now on defense. So the way I look at it, I always tell everybody, you have to be too deep at every position. And so our goal is we want to be too deep at every spot and get guys some reps, so come that fourth quarter when that game is tight, you're more fresh. And so, you know, we have to do that. So he's going to be a guy that's going to play for us.
Is it possible that he and Tony could play together? Could Tony play middle, or is that not?
It's a possibility. I mean, I'm open to, you know, like I said, depending on what team we play and what schemes we're going against, who knows what you're going to see from us.
Tim Huff has been on board for a week plus or so. What can he provide to the defense?
You know, he's played a lot. He started football games. He's smart. He's athletic. He can make plays, so he can help us out.
Who's emerging in that group behind him and Jace and Lorenzo?
Mackenzie Barnes is coming along. Azizi Hearn is the guy that's making some plays also. And so those guys, I think, are two guys that every week you see those guys they're taking those steps, you know, because that's a position where you're out there on the corner, you know, and you're all by yourself. And so seeing those guys mature a little bit is good for us in the long run. Has
Morrison been able to put himself in the mix coming off that injury at all yet?
Not yet.
Is Troy Young still with your group, or is he back with that?
Troy Young is working. Troy Young is what I call a workman. So he's working with the linebackers, he's working with the safeties, he's working with the corners. So he's a guy that can do it all for us.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Could you see him kind of having like a Tellis Jones role from your first year when you were here?
Possibly, yes. Yeah, possibly.
Are there other guys in that safety group that can come down to the corner position if needed?
Isaiah Hayes is a guy that can play some corner for us if needed. I think that's it. That's all we've seen.
Speaking of Isaiah, is it nice to have him?
It is nice to have him back. He's, you know, just from his mom and dad, I know them both well, and his dad playing, and then his mom was like on his butt about his grades. So he's a smart football player. He understands the game. I think him sitting out last year and watching a little bit helped his growth as far as understanding it a little bit. So he's a guy that we're excited about. You know, having him back is good for us.
Is he way bigger than he was? He's pretty skinny as a freshman.
He's bigger. Yes, he's bigger. Hopefully, yeah, they're all bigger. So, yeah, but he's bigger.
Speaking of which, Jalen Harris and Mike King weren't necessarily like physically ready last year. Are they more so
Yes, they are.
this year?
Yep. They both have put on weight. They're both making plays. They're both getting better. Those are two guys that you may see this year playing. I don't know how many snaps they're playing, but yeah, their growth has come along.
You mentioned Mackenzie Barnes. Is there any other newcomers that have kind of caught your eye?
Christian Young. That's pretty much it on defense, I would say.
How does the new redshirt rule affect how you kind of use those guys?
With the 4 games and
Yeah.
being able to play in 4 games, I mean, let's play them. You know, what are we going to save them for, right? Let's see what they can do. And so you guys, I mean, to ask me that is crazy because you guys know I'll play a freshman. We'll play a freshman in a minute. So, you know, I mean, if they can help us win, they're going to play.
Is there any new news on Mark Hill's eligibility?
I haven't heard anything about Marcus.
So you say you like playing freshmen. Is there a specific thing that you do to try to get these freshmen ready in short notice that, you know, is a specialty of yours? Or?
Well, what I did with the guys last year was I told them, I never tell guys that they're going to come in and start, but I tell them, hey, just watch the film, and if you think you're better than the guy that's playing for us right now, then you can answer your own questions. So, you know, those guys watched the film, and I guess they thought, okay, we can come in and play. So there's nothing special I do because I coach everybody the same. But, you know, I just think now in today's and age, a lot of guys are coming in more ready to play at a young age, and they don't want to sit on the bench. You know, they want to play now.
Noel had indicated last week that Colin at times is unblockable in practice. How would you assess his camp?
I need Colin to be unblockable during the game. So I'm glad Coach Noel said that. He may be unblockable during practice, but I prefer him to be unblockable versus BYU in a week and a half from now, or 2 weeks. So, you know, but I mean, he's getting better. I wouldn't quite say if he's unblockable, but he's making some plays. He's smart. You know, he works hard. You know, he studies the game. Coach's son. You know, so he just loves the game of football.
We don't know who's starting at quarterback for BYU yet, do we?
We have
a
an
competition?
idea. Yeah, we have an idea of what it's going to be 1 or 2 of these guys. So we're getting ready for both.
How much did you put in today for BYU? Have you started that?
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Is that
Just
just
started prep for BYU.
All right, folks.